everyone. My name is Stephanie Hubka,
And I'm Alison French.
and we are thrilled to be with you today as we share our three for you. Allison and I have known each other for quite a while now, and we've had a lot to bond over. We both live in the Washington, D.C. area. We're both talent development consultants, and much to our surprise, we are also proud Tri-Deltas. I am a Tri-Delta from Carnegie Mellon University from the Alpha Tau chapter.
And I was part of the Alpha Beta chapter at Cornell University. And Stephanie, wasn't the Tri-Delt house right around the corner from the studio where Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was filmed in Pittsburgh?
As a matter of fact, it was. So as you're about to find out, Allison and I are also huge fans of Mr. Rogers and all of the incredible wisdom that he has had to share, especially when we were kids, but also, frankly, now that we're adults too. And one of the interesting things is that Mr. Rogers filmed in Pittsburgh, right around the corner from Carnegie Mellon's campus. And so although the house today is a little bit closer than it used to be, the Tri-Delta house that I used to go to when I lived on campus was only about a half a mile away. It was really, really close. And I used to walk by the studio quite a bit.
And Stephanie and I started talking about this idea that we both had to take the teachings of Mr. Rogers and apply them to the things that we do every day. We started with doing it for fellow trainers, quite frankly, because that's the sphere that we played in. And we did it at a conference and we called it Won't You Be My Trainer, which we thought was so much fun. But then we realized very quickly that this is applicable to so many more, not just other trainers, managers, employees, volunteers. So we really expanded it. And our three for you has to do with the fact that Mr. Rogers talked about three ways to be successful. The first way is to be kind. The second way is to be kind. And the third way is to be kind. Now, we're going to break it down a little bit more than that for you, or else we wouldn't really have a podcast for you at all. But what we did was we distilled a couple of the things that we talk about in our workshops to this podcast and brought up three key concepts that we think are really important to foster kindness in the workplace and in your day-to-day as well. And really the first one that we like to look at is the concept of play. And as everybody knows, Mr. Rogers loved to play. He had all these games that he did, and he used to say that play was truly the work of childhood. And while that's certainly the case, we as adults tend to overlook that. And I think it's really important that we don't, especially right now. There's so much heavy stuff going on. There's so much stress. We need to incorporate a little bit of play into our lives and give us and give the people that we work with a chance to take that breath, do something fun. Play opens up creativity. It opens up innovation. And in our podcast, we're going to talk a little bit more about how you can do that.
Yeah, I'm really glad you started out with that, Allison. I just think play is one of the most critical things that we can do for ourselves, especially now. I think there probably hasn't been a time in history where we have needed kindness more. And play is something we can really do, not just for others around us, but for ourselves. You know, it's just such a kindness that we can offer to ourselves, a few moments where we can hit the pause button and, you know, sort of have a good time, let some of the stress go and just really enjoy ourselves. And, you know, it's interesting, too, because I think the next thing that we should chat about is a concept that almost seems like the exact opposite of play, and that is the concept of silence. If you're thinking about silence at work, you're probably like us where you're thinking, that cannot make sense. Where in your workday are you supposed to find a couple of minutes of silence? Our schedules are crowded. We are on Zoom all the time. And when you think about it, silence actually is also probably more important for us now than it has been before. The world is a noisy place at the moment, and it can help us to take those few moments and really spend some time just being quiet. Think about what's on your to-do list. Think about the progress that you're making toward your goals. Celebrate some of those achievements. And importantly, too, and this is something else we're going to cover a bit more in detail on our episode of the podcast, you need silence and quiet to process what's going on around you, what you're learning, what you're experiencing, and really starting to make sense of that. So silence is a really important kindness that you can offer to yourself as well.
And the last kindness that we're going to talk about is love. And that one may sound a little bit strange, a little bit off the wall. But honestly, this is something that we also tend to overlook. And not all of us love what we do for our jobs. Stephanie and I are blessed that we do actually love what we do. But we know that not everyone does. But if you're able to, using play, using silence, if you're able to sort of take a moment and latch on to something that you do love, it really helps you to be kind to yourself. And then you emanate that with others that you're around. They see that there's something that you actually love, and it just, it spreads. And so we're going to talk about that as well when you join us on the podcast.
And speaking of, we're really excited to chat a little bit with you through the podcast. So we hope you'll tune into our episode. We'd love to connect with you also and hear a little bit about what you think. And a great place to find us is actually on our website, which is www.won'tyoube.com. You'll be able to find more information about us. You'll find more information on how to contact and connect with us. And that is something we would absolutely love to do. We are so happy to be part of this vibrant Tri-Delta community. And having a chance to get to know you better would absolutely make our day. So we look forward to meeting you, hopefully in a time where we're not as socially distanced as we are now, but certainly connecting with you now would be wonderful as well. And until then, we look forward to talking with you soon.